What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 1041 of Flow Wrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined today on this fine Monday. Happy July, everybody. July the 1st.
My birthday month.
The start of Q3, as we all know.
My birthday month.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
This is your birthday quarter.
My birthday quarter.
Yeah. One of my favorite Q3 birthdays, Tyler, is here. What day is your birthday?
July 20th.
Will you be at Fargo then?
I will be at Fargo.
Yes.
That is how you do a birthday, son.
Third birthday in a row at Fargo.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's lit.
Mm-hmm.
To my right, JD Raider. He had the big reveal last show, but he's got the hat back on. That's okay.
It's too much, you know. No one man should have all that power. So.
It was intimidating.
I keep the hat to keep us all in check.
Yeah, I like it. I like all the looks of JD. And of course, Mr. Shake and Bake himself. Show that shirt off.
Yeah, we got the fit. This is the real fit right here. Look at that. The Rainy Bros.
Kentucky drip, boy.
Oh, it's the Rainy Bros drip?
Dude, look at that.
That's fire.
Surprised you can't tell.
It's the other Jaden.
I didn't.
short.
I just now I'm noticing.
No, it's a Talladega Nights shirt.
That's great merch.
Yeah, dude. Look at that. Oh, blow that up, baby. Kentucky style.
Can you buy those?
Oh, you can buy them.
How?
You gotta know somebody. You gotta get a hold of the Rainy Dad on Facebook.
Okay, Mr. Rainey.
Mr. Rainy Scott. He's got you covered.
They're not
All right.
posting links in their Instagram bios.
I don't know. They're not big on social media. They just wrestle.
Yeah, they just wrestle. It takes away the time for them.
They just wrestle in the wrestling room. Sometimes they wrestle for the world team spot in the best of 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those things have happened.
Yep.
Okay. Plenty to get to. But Tyler, tell the folks at home how they can listen to this show and when.
Well, you can listen to this show with no video on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can leave a rave review on Apple Podcasts that we may read on the show. You can watch the show on YouTube, Facebook, and FlowWrestling.org and the Flow Sports app. Am I getting better at that?
Yeah, you did good. Am I tripping? Or have you never been able to leave a review on Spotify?
You can leave stars, but I don't think you can leave a review.
That is correct.
Yeah. In my mind, I've read reviews on Spotify, but it's only in my mind.
And
And
maybe
maybe
the
my
Mandela effect, or what's that called?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's.
You might have made that up.
just sounded
You're making up
dumb.
effects to sound smart. We know you went to Michigan, dude. You don't have to prove anything to us. We know you're smart.
All right, dude.
It's about time for a haircut, though. You got to get a plan. I'm just saying, just have a
You
plan.
don't like it?
It is the Mandela effect.
Fine.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Wow, Josh is giving me a round of
For
applause
what?
because I got the Mandela effect.
No,
correct.
applause has to be reserved for. You got to get better at that. Tyler getting
It's
a.
also redacted if you don't know for sure.
Yeah, he didn't even know. He's like, it might be it.
Well, you know what? I second guessed myself because we're on.
All right.
Yeah.
Enough. We already jumped the shark with the effects. No more.
I don't know. Can the audience hear those noises?
I have no idea
Okay. Well, I guess we'll find out later.
because we are.
Oh,
One
they can.
thing
Great.
we are doing is the show. One thing we're not doing is listening to the show. Though you try every episode to listen to the show.
Yeah.
Because you don't cut off the volume on your computer. Okay. So today's show, we're going to get into, we're going to do some quick hitters, some things like that. We're going to talk a little Matside weigh-ins, 'cause apparently that's hot in the streets, thanks to Shane Sparks. Maybe a divisive topic. That's okay. And I think the most fun part of the show will be 57-kilogram Olympic field deep dive. This is such a fun weight. Just doing the little bit of research we did in the lead up to this, a lot of really exciting, a lot of interesting styles. We're going to get into all that. But JD, where to first?
Yeah, some news from the weekend, the opening round. This actually happened, I believe, on our show on Thursdays when this came out, and we had been hearing about it a while, but it is now official. The last Olympic quotas were handed out for the Russian and Belarusian athletes, or their weights that did not get in. Rather, I should say 16, I believe, was the total. But the big names for Team USA, Kamal Bey in at 77 kilograms, Greco-Roman. And the other people that American fans are going to be happy that got in was Frank Chamizo in men's freestyle.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited to see Chamizo in, even though I feel like he's mailed in this year, or he's just on the other side of his career. I say mailed in because he just does not look as fit as we've seen him in the past. But maybe this will be inspirational to him, and he's going to get it together. And
I mean, it's kind of his forte.
no, it's not. He's been in. It's not his forte to look.
What's his forte? Looking like he's out of shape?
No, just not being in the best shape. His whole persona is not necessarily I train the hardest.
I love money, bro.
Yeah, but it's gotten worse.
Yeah, it's way worse. He
Just getting up there.
I don't think that was his persona necessarily, that he was out of shape. I feel like his persona was that he could lull you to sleep
Yes.
in ways that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, now it's just like he actually is tired. Like
Now he's actually asleep.
actually tired.
He's actually asleep. But no, I mean I think he's still got it. He just waits to the end too much. Dake's beat him twice. It feels like Dake has leveled up since their last meeting. I can't say the same for Frank, but it is notable. He is the biggest name that got entered into the Olympics.
Well, he was host at the qualifier.
Admittedly hosed, and which led to suspensions of various UWW refs officials. But then he still didn't get in at the last chance, and he wasn't close. And the way it worked, and so I saw some people like, no, that's not right. He shouldn't be in. You get in based on who you're replacing. So he's replacing Kadi Magomedov. He's not replacing Russia, Sidikov. So Kadi Magomedov qualified at the Europeans, where he failed to qualify, and he had the most classification points there. And now we've got him dancing.
That's Chimizo's persona, if you ask me.
Yeah, he's party boy.
He's dancing in the streets. As he's not gonna be too serious about that training.
Yeah.
He doesn't look tired.
No, full of energy. So, anyways, exciting, very exciting for Kamal Bey. So now we have 4 Olympians at Greco-Roman, which is great. Very excited for
This
that.
is a testament to what it means to keep wrestling.
Yes.
You lose, you keep wrestling. You. Well, I guess in this tournament,
made it
it's
to
a little
the
different, but yeah. He made it to that true third match, and he wrestled it.
But also classification points mattered. I don't think they mattered for Kamal necessarily, but they would have. So in Chimizo's, he got in over, or would have gotten in over the other semifinal loser because he had more classification points, because he was more dominant or whatever. So it does speak to that in a way. But anyways, big news. Yes, indeed.
Other news from the weekend, Jax Force was apparently in Iowa City training with Austin DeSanto.
First off, who doesn't want to see that scrap?
Oh, please.
You know that's insane.
Yes.
How many times did he hit that slide by before DeSanto just put the hammer on him? He said, never again.
You got to feel like DeSanto puts the hammer down immediately. Doesn't wait for it.
Yeah, he's not waiting. He's never
not waiting to get hit with the slide.
Well,
by.
but he might get tricked. I mean, he gets everyone with that thing.
Yeah.
It's like one of the best slide bys in the country.
I want to know if DeSanto is making a descent, like back down to 61, if he's going to try to
I
make
hope
the world
so.
team at 61.
He should.
I would
be.
assume so.
Yeah. He was not. He's gonna be a good size at 61. 61 trials are gonna be so fun, especially if Vito's back. Dayton Fix is gonna try. Is Marcus Blaze in the mix? Austin DeSanto. I'm sure I'm forgetting names, but incredible. Can't wait for 61. And yeah, I'm not gonna read too much into people training at different places, but it's certainly notable that Jax is training there.
Yeah, and they were there. His little brother was wrestling at Kids Nationals too. So I think it was very convenient for them to be over there. But I mean, we were there, and there's an edit coming from Tyler about that first day. Iowa, I think, definitely in the mix for these.
Well,
guys.
and he wasn't, like, to be clear, he wasn't at Iowa.
Yeah, it was Iowa City High School,
Yeah.
right? Well, where are you at with that edit, by the way? We'll just do a little check-in right here.
Don't worry about it.
I'm worried.
Don't worry about it.
This week? What is this, David? Huh?
Yes, this week.
Okay, well,
Relax.
I'm relaxed now that you said
It's a
yeah.
secret drop.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not going to be this week then.
It's gonna be exclusive. It's gonna be exclusive.
Exclusive.
Exclusive to anyone that sees the link.
Exclusively secret. Yeah, it's going to be an unlisted link that I'm going to post in my Instagram story. So if you want to see it, follow me on Instagram. No, I'm just kidding. Don't follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, don't.
Don't do it.
All right.
Elsewhere, an interview came out with Coleman Scott, and he said he might be done with the sport altogether.
Yeah, I saw that. What was the exact quote? We have it.
The exact quote is, "I don't know what this sport's got for me anymore."
Yeah, I think he also said something to the effect of like, I'm not sure what he's doing, but I don't think, and he's been telling a lot of people this, that done with wrestling, but I never really believed that was the case. I even told him I think it would be, kind of a shame if he didn't coach wrestling anymore. So I think it probably just hurts what happened in the moment with Oklahoma State. But I would be stunned if Coleman Scott wasn't coaching wrestling again.
I mean, wrestling's been his entire life for the past his entire life, basically.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's, what, you just going to go get a desk job now?
I like that. Wrestling's been his entire life for the past his entire life.
Ever since his life happened, wrestling.
That's fantastic.
He's going to have suitors. I mean, like,
For sure.
The thing is, like, as jobs come available and athletic directors are looking around and trying to figure out, like, wait a minute, who's the best fit for this head coaching job? It's like, wait a minute, we got a guy that was the head coach at North Carolina for years, who's available. So he'll have suitors and he'll have options and
Absolutely.
he'll.
Yeah. I think he was just hurt by the situation, but no way he's done, in my opinion.
And our last news item to get into before we get into other topics, an update from the MMA world, if you care. But Logan Storley continues to be on a great MMA trajectory. He won his fight. Unfortunately, Bubba Jenkins was injured. He did not win his fight. And Jordan Oliver's fight apparently got pushed back until August, something to do with his opponent or something. So didn't get to see him fight.
Good job, Logan. Also, I watched the Pereira fight. He's just ridiculous.
Have you guys seen this clip of this kid saying, like, there was an MMA reporter going around asking people, which UFC fighter do you think you could beat in a fight? And this kid goes, Alex Pereira, I'm a college wrestler. Honestly, no one's tried to wrestle him. Like, I would wrestle him, I would take him down, and I would just ground and pound him. Have you
see this
seen
clip?
this kid?
Insane. I did see that. That's very funny to me. I mean, John Jones, obviously, but there's no one scarier. I mean, he just freaking all systems shut down.
Yeah.
He just goes lights out on all these guys.
I love, personally, that he was Adesanya's, like, boogeyman. Like, followed him from one sport into the next and beat him in both of them.
Yeah, but then Adesanya, man,
He did get got.
He did.
at the end. That was as crazy a finish too. I love MMA. I'm starting to really get into it. But anyway, yeah, that was crazy. Good job, Logan Storley.
RIP to what would have been a Conor McGregor weekend.
Yeah.
That was kind of sad.
I know he's not the guy he was, and maybe I'm being a little too fanboy. I really don't care for Conor McGregor, like, as a person, but there is nothing like a Conor McGregor fight night. There's not the hype, the energy, all the people it brings into a place to watch.
He has,
There's
like,
nothing
how
like it.
many of the top 10 most purchased pay-per-views? It's like 6 or 7.
He's up there. I showed Caleb the Khabib fight in the aftermath of it. It was kind of insane to watch that again. You're like, this is one of the craziest things that's ever happened at a sporting event.
Yeah.
The guy wins the biggest fight
Everyone
ever.
just jumps the
And then
fence.
just jumps the fence. And the other crazy thing is not only him leaping on Dylan Dennis and punching him, and this is also so Russian too. This is just like their move. This is what they do. They just go crazy. And then the Russians jump in the cage and start beating up Connor
Yeah.
after the fight.
Wild.
Who started it, though?
Khabib.
Guys?
No.
The
Khabib.
fight stuff. Well, it was Dylan Dennis talking trash to Habib first, and then Habib jumped over the cage, and that's obviously what took it to the next level.
Yeah, and Connor's literally just standing there. These Russians jump in the cage and start fighting him. Yeah, nuts.
I have if you'll allow me to sidetrack real quick,
Please.
I have an MMA related question. Justin Gaethje said, I don't know where he said it, but I saw a quote on Instagram that if he had used his wrestling more, he would not be getting, like, the fight purses, or he would not be where he is at in the UFC right now.
It's fair. That's probably true. Now, the trade-off there is if he used his wrestling. Now, he's been super successful, so don't take this the wrong way, but, like, are there some fights he would have won if he had used wrestling instead of just trying to knock dudes out? That's a fair point. But maybe the money he makes, negates the potential winning.
The quote made it seem like he was it was more focused on the money and less about the.
I love money, bro.
I don't even know if success, I mean, it's not, he was an All-American, don't get me wrong, but it's not like he was this crazy Olympic medalist type wrestler who you feel really confident could just take anybody down in MMA. And I feel like once you get to the top levels, especially at weights like that, those guys have good wrestling defense.
I think if you're an All-American wrestler, you can take down almost like anyone that's
Yes.
not also a wrestler,
Absolutely. I agree with that.
and that it gives you a huge,
Especially
advantage in that
if
field.
yeah, if you're focused on it, it's something you're doing.
I think it's a case-by-case basis. But anymore, I'm saying guys are so good at MMA takedown defense to where I don't think just being an All-American wrestler, like, against your little UFC like champions, you're like, he's gonna be able to take him down
I don't know,
and
you
do
watch,
whatever he
like-
wants with
watch
him.
like Islam, like he, and for sure, I would say the level of wrestling that Justin reached has got to be comparable, if not superior to Islam. And he just takes guys. I mean,
I would argue though that Islam might have better MMA wrestling.
well, of course he does, because he does. I mean, Justin doesn't use it, so he's made the decision not to wrestle in MMA. So it's like we don't really even know.
And it's like we don't even know what Islam could have been if he went to college wrestling. You don't think if you had Islam training wrestling from the time he was 4 years old, he would have been maybe more than a one-time All-American?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I think there's the argument that MMA wrestling is different than folk style wrestling and whatever. I think we spent too much time on it. Let's move on.
Yeah, you blew this show already.
All right. That was the news. That was the opening round. Now,
That was the news.
Shane Sparks got us talking about Matside weigh-ins. Once again, I feel like we've talked about it on this show again,
We have.
but we're gonna ignite the debate again. Talk a little bit about it. Matside weigh-ins,
Yeah.
good or bad for the sport of wrestling?
I think it'd be great for the sport, and I think the only negatives you can even find are logistical in nature, which immediately reveals that it's probably a really good idea, because I don't think the logistics are as complex as the naysayers believe. I don't think it would be that bad. And to a certain extent, you know, college wrestling is, I would say, basically professional. It's kind of like our professional wrestling. But at minimum, high school and youth wrestling would really benefit from this, in my opinion. And I think it is among these kids and the high school wrestlers, man, the number one complaint about the sport is the weight cutting. It's the worst part of the process, I believe, for many kids. And I think it would eliminate it. I think it would get the focus. I mean, you think it's as insane as it sounds, and you would think at the youth level, these kids are just focused on getting better. It's like, you would be freaking surprised, man. You would be surprised. Even in Texas youth wrestling, I'm seeing it. I have seen it. It's happened plenty. And so I don't think it's as developmentally focused. I think I find youth wrestling to be far too competition focused. And when you make competition and winning the focus, things like weight cutting are going to become one of the top tactics. And you can have a real advantage there. I've seen it happen. And I think you just need to eliminate that advantage. And I think the best kids will still be the best. They'll probably be way better, because the best kids are also probably the kids that are cutting weight. And if you eliminate that and they spend all their time focused on development and less on, not eating, one, they're going to be way better long-term, because they're going to actually enjoy doing the sport and not hate it. And they're more likely to stick with it. But two, those periods of time spent on skill, just acutely for that year or the upcoming season, I think it would make a big difference. It would be drastic. I'm not minimizing that this would be a huge shakeup for the sport, but I also just don't understand the cons, really. And if you said, senior level and college go unchanged, I'd be like, okay, maybe. I can see that. It's professional. It's a little different at that point. But I feel like for youth and high school, it would be an awesome change for the sport.
I know I've talked to a couple tournament directors, and they have logistical concerns with this. Just a mat or a scale to every mat. Does it need to be hooked up to track to record weights? Just kind of stuff like that. The flow of tournaments with a one weigh-in where everybody goes versus you got to weigh in right before every match. I also will say the product for fans, I think it's diminished a little bit in terms of like, okay, two guys come to the mat, you watch them weigh in, and then you watch them like put on their shoes before their match. Again, that's a very small critique, but it is just kind of like if I'm being real nitpicky, I'm not super anti Matside weigh-ins, but if there are some cons to it,
You weigh in with your shoes on. Like, you just weigh in, they adjust the weights, you weigh in with your shoes and your singlet on, and you go. I think that the people, there's like a ton of, we were just looking at tweets, like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like it from a fan's perspective, like the break in action, whatever. It's no different. If you set it up the right way, it's no different than wrestlers going to the head table to check in before the match starts. Like you literally just step on the scale, you say your name, and then you head back.
Until a guy needs to take his shoes off to make weight.
But
No,
you're not
part of the
allowed.
weigh-in.
It's part of the weigh-in. It
So-
just becomes part of it.
Also, there's no fans of youth wrestling.
Right.
It's like what the fan
Well,
problem?
I was talking about college.
yeah, well, that's it's like that can be separate.
Here's
You
the
could also
thing.
make the argument 1 hour weigh-in is basically like it kind of
It's 2 hour now.
2 hour. Excuse me. You're right.
I mean, I think the thing about like wrestling, when you're at basically every level, you're thinking about the weigh-in throughout the entire week. Like, what do I have to do to get to that weight? And the only time, like my experience as a kid and in high school, the only time you're not thinking about your weight is the day of the tournament. And now I think that maybe gets flipped, and that I don't know if I love. Like that, you know, you're asking yourself as a kid, and this isn't even just kids who cut weight, but like let's say the weight class is whatever it is, and you weigh in first match of the morning and you're close. It's like now between match 1 and 2, you got to think about, can I put water in my body or not? Can I put food in my body or not? And that's the thing that I don't love about it, is that I don't think you're going to be thinking about the weight less. I think it's going to become now the thing you're thinking about during the day of the competition. And I think, you know, ideally what we want is for kids to be thinking about that weight and that weight class and that weight cut less. And now if I got 5 matches in a day, I got to weigh in 5 times. I got to think about my weight 5 times. I can't finish a wrestling match and think, you know what my body needs right now is 16 ounces of water, because if I'm only under the weight class by 0.3 of a pound, that's how much water I get. Mm-hmm. And I don't love that. I mean, I think about like youth sports right now, and I look at whatever sport it is, and you see a kid that's out there, that's working, that's, you know, sweating, and you want to tell them like, put water, put Gatorade, whatever it is, like back in your body. And now it's like, well, let's just make sure that we're not putting in too much. And I'm not talking about a kid that cuts a lot of weight. I'm just talking about if you just happen to roll up close to the weight class, you know.
Plus, you can even check your weight because like those scales are in use because they're
Okay.
They would have checks. I mean, they would
have a check scale.
They would figure out check scales, but
all the scales are gone.
you know, and the other thing that I think wrestling has a problem of at the higher levels of things preventing the best matches from happening, right? Coaches, sometimes they don't want to put their best lineup out there or whatever the case may be. You look at the NCAA tournament, and right now it's 3 days. We got to weigh in every single morning. So we have 3 weigh-ins. Everybody steps on the scale 3 times. That makes it. Now all of a sudden, NCAAs, you got some guys wrestling 8 matches. Those guys are stepping on the scale 8 times. There's 640 matches at the NCAA championships. 2 guys got to weigh in for every single one of those matches. So now we're talking about 1,280 weigh-ins that have to take place. And if even a small percentage of those guys are missing weight, it's like, man, that pulls some good matches out of the pool of matches. And it's not gonna be a lot, but weird things are gonna happen. And I don't know. That's the part to me that is the scariest, is you're thinking about it. You're thinking about your weight at all times during competition. You have to be.
Yeah.
So-
I wonder if what the impact would be, guys just don't get within weight classes that they're in danger of on a competition day going over, right? I think it not only do the weights go up and shift, but like it totally recalibrates how you approach entering a weight
I
class.
think it fully eliminates weight cutting.
Yeah.
I think that if you asked me when I was trying to make 149 and I weighed 160, if I would rather have to think about making 149 like the whole week leading up to a competition, or if I would rather just like think mildly about making sure I stay under 160 during the day of competition, I would pick the 160 option every day of the week.
well, you could have picked it. Why didn't you?
Because the people who are wrestling 157 or 165 are cutting down
Yeah.
from 12 pounds above that.
The other thing too is like, and this to me is like more of a problem at the high school level, is we have a problem of rosters not being filled. You know, you have 14 weight classes, and let's say the weight classes all shift up by 5 pounds or whatever. You're not going to have full rosters. You're just not. You're not going to have a kid that can hold a weight class throughout the year, right? A freshman in high school is not going to weigh the same amount in probably November that freshman's going to weigh in February or March. And so we would have, as a sport, we'd have to get really comfortable with this kid doesn't have a spot for the whole year, and we get a lot more incomplete lineups.
Well, that's kind of one of my points, though. Like all those kids that try to hold those weights for all the time, it would be totally prohibitive. And they'd be allowed to actually grow instead of I certified it at 6.
Yeah.
So then you hold it. I mean, that's what we see. We see the normal trend in high school is guys go down throughout the season, not up.
And partly that's because the weight class moves up to,
Yeah.
so there's all these weird gimmicks. And cause yeah, these kids are thinking like, well, by the 3rd day of the state tournament, I'm gonna get these extra pounds plus the 2 from Christmas. And so, yeah, it's all manipulation.
Maybe in high school, you just keep doing that. Like you keep making the weight go up like progressively during
Have a
the
growth
year.
pound.
I also think what Bray was saying, if there's 2 kids who naturally weigh basically the exact same, you could be taking a spot from one who goes, I'm not going to cut
Well, that's true
7, 8
now.
pounds.
If you have 2 kids that are the same size, that's the exact same thing could happen there too.
Yeah, except one of them can go down.
They could go, I mean,
And then but if you have a whole day long tournament where you can't put 16 ounces of water into your body.
well, I don't think the kid should go down. If he
just-
can't, if he has to cut a bunch of weight, I don't
Well,
think
it's like 7, it's like 5 pounds. I just don't think for a 16-year-old male, I don't think it's a big deal to lower your body weight by like 5 or 6 pounds.
I think I want to be in a place where the sport is as enjoyable as it possibly could be. And like, I remember being in high school and being jealous of like soccer players who would just like roll up and just get to have fun and play the game that they love to play and not have to think about like what their weight's going to be going into it, or not have to like, think about how much fun heavyweights have wrestling. They literally just get to do the fun part the entire time and never have to worry about where their weight's at.
Well, I think if you're like the best high school kids can do that now. But I'm talking about a guy who wants to get in the varsity lineup, and that will make it more fun for him if he loses 4 pounds, which is not a big deal.
Yeah. One of the things too that I do think we got to point out, because there are people in the chat that are like, well, yeah, I cut this amount of weight in high school and I was healthier and whatever. And it's like, there is also sometimes this problematic thing. I know this was my experience too, where in the off season, I'm gaining bad weight that I don't need to be gaining because I'm like, I don't have to make weight. So now I'm going to go to the buffet and I'm going to load up. And, it's like, you get this weird perception of food where you gain too much, you eat too much. And so there is something to just having a healthy, normal body weight. This is not eat whatever you want. So I do think it would encourage, people to be just sort of healthier in general as a baseline. So I think that would be a good.
I think the
good
system we
side
have
effect
now
potentially.
encourages eating disorders and
does.
problems with kids. So I think that it is only further incentivizes kids to stay healthy and keeps them, because like you get that binge mentality when you grow up cutting weight and you do blow up because number one, your body wants to hold on to all the calories that you're now putting into your body because you weren't before. And number two, it creates like an unhealthy psychological effect on you. So yeah, I think it just further incentivizes people to have healthier lifestyles and prevents that yo-yo effect.
Hopefully. I mean, eating disorder stuff comes with sports that don't have weigh-ins though, right? Like distance running, like I remember hearing like for every pound of fat you lose, you're going to increase your mile time by like 6 seconds or whatever. And you would see eating disorders like super rampant. Nobody's making you weigh in, but you got athletes that want to be faster and they want to increase their performance. I mean, that's performance-based, like body decisions are going to happen no matter what. And so you got to have a healthy perspective about food in general. I don't know. It's going to happen.
Running has that challenge, but there's an optimal weight for competition and athletic performance in wrestling. And whatever that is where that kid will find themselves wrestling, right? And
even if a kid wants to make a lineup, I don't think we should incentivize them to go down in weight. We should just incentivize them to keep getting better and try to make it at their weight.
Add skill.
Yeah.
Like it's a shortcut, and I think it's a harmful one. I think it's backwards, and ultimately, weight cutting is a huge detriment to our sport's popularity and widespread growth. And I think we have this impediment, and I think I think it's a simple solution. I think youth wrestling should be Matside. They should more broadly adopt Madison style weigh-ins where everyone just weighs in and then they bunch them up. Like, who cares? It's youth
For
wrestling.
youth wrestling, I 100%.
That I like way
always
better.
be.
I like that way better.
But you could still have kids that, man, frickin' this tournament we went to, oh my gosh, I don't know what the weigh-ins are. But it can get crazy there too, because then you'll have kids that are shrinking themselves to be in this whatever. But it's a more of a moving target because you don't know how they're going to be grouped. But that should be broadly adopted, I think. And we lose a lot of kids in high school that just don't want to cut the weight. And it's not because they're soft. It's because it's not a good thing to do. And it has nothing to do with wrestling. It doesn't. You should be healthy. You should be strong. And you should learn technique. Like cutting down 10 pounds, 5 pounds, 3 pounds, whatever it is, it has nothing to do with wrestling. When you think about it, it has nothing to do with it. And the best kids are still going to be the best kids. And where this is really going to impact, it's like that middle to lower tier group of guys that are not having success. Maybe they're gonna have a way more enjoyable experience in the sport at the youth level, at the high school level. And I think that's all of it. We need people staying in the sport. We're getting a lot of people, and that's a crazy thing. I see it at the club, and I don't think it's weight cut related because we don't really encourage that. But like, a lot of kids want to try the sport, like way more than you realize. But we don't keep them, right? And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of reasons. The singlet's a problem. The weight cutting's a problem. The sport is inherently insanely difficult and complicated, and there's no quick success in it. So there's a pie of problems that have people leave the sport. One of them is undoubtedly weight cutting. And so if we can broadly, not entirely, eliminate that problem, I think we're going to see better retention because there's a lot of kids that come into the sport. They just don't stick with it. Imagine if we were just a little stickier as a sport. We were able to keep that many more. That'd be a good thing.
We should roll around in honey. It's real sticky.
We'll try that.
Okay.
My only worry, or maybe not my only worry, but just whenever you have a weight class, no matter what, even if it's Matside weigh-ins, the element of will I gain an advantage going to a certain weight class is always going to be a thing, no matter what. I don't care. We say right now it's not an advantage to necessarily cut your weight or to cut a bunch of weight on a 1 or 2 hour weigh-ins. You said it too. Guess what? Kids still do it. Coaches still try and get their kids to go down a weight class, even though we know and we say it's not an advantage for you. And I know that it might be less of, or it might be a harder deterrence, but just anytime there's a weight class associated with it, you will get people who will try and gain an advantage.
I see, so at the youth level, I see there's day before, you can pay extra.
Yeah, well, that stuff is all crazy.
That's all crazy. But that's all. If you have to make weight that moment and wrestle, it is going to, everyone's going to try it, or not everyone. Some of the hardos are going to try it. It's not going to go well. Their performance is going to dip. And so there'll be the small number of people that'll just hang on and just think cutting weight's the way. That is going to happen. We're talking bigger numbers. We're not trying to, you're never going to be able to curb a problem entirely in completion. Like that's not the goal here. The goal is to broadly impact the approach, and that it will broadly impact it positively. Yes, there will still be some. That's not a reason not to do it, though.
You also can't stop those tournaments from still doing that. Like
still doing.
We don't have like night before weigh-ins.
Why not?
Because that's not a regular, like college doesn't do that now, and those youth tournaments still do it now.
Well, the whole thing we're talking about is should this sport go to it? So that's
of course you can't force tournaments to do it. We're saying we would like to see more tournaments.
That's what and I'm sure you could
just start to.
Hey, if USA Wrestling and all these the bigger organizations said no, every tournament
it would be a trickle down.
Yeah, well, it's mandated. If you run a tournament that's within this thing, Texas USAW mandates it. Or USA, then all the tournaments fall under that rule. It's just like 3-point takedown, just like they're going to change the takedown rules in high school. Like that's not an obstacle.
I get, we kind of touched on this already, but I get really frustrated going back to the people that think it's going to be this huge logistical issue because it's just not. Like, you don't have to get naked to weigh in. Newsflash, you can leave your shoes on. You can wear a singlet. Like, that can be part of the weigh-in. That's just part of the math equation you figure out. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
I think it makes a lot more sense to think about this as an experiment that maybe we're trying than a solution, because I just think solution, we just don't know. Like, we got to see it in action. I would love to see it in action, but I would feel like I would really need to see, is it working? Are kids cutting weight less? Is the performance better? Before I would feel like comfortable just saying, yes, let's implement it. Boom, widespread.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people think this would be a systematic improvement, not an immediate improvement. Like people would still try and cut weight, wouldn't go well. And then years down the line, in like a decade, you get a better all performance from the sport.
That's how we should be thinking. Long-term improvement. There's no overnight fixes in anything that's worth doing, in my opinion. And it's,
I think it would have a semi-immediate impact as well, though. Like there might be some detriments, but like I think overall, generally, it would have a positive impact like right away.
Absolutely.
All right, 57 kg Olympics. We're gonna start rolling out kind of our Olympic previews now because we're just 5 weeks away,
So close.
I believe, from the start of the Paris Games. So we're gonna start at the lowest weight, 57 kilograms. We know our top 8 seeds at every weight, and then the remaining 8 athletes are drawn in. So at 57 kilograms, your number 1 seed, Stefan Micic. Number 2, Ray Higuchi. I'm not going to go through all of them. If you're watching, you can see the bracket going on right now. If you're listening, we'll get into the weeds here.
Can we get it on the big dog too, Josh, just so I can see it? Because it's a little small for me.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Mr. Four Eyes here.
Can you see it,
Can't
LASIK?
read.
Yeah, I got laser eye vision.
Yeah, you got PEDs of the eyes.
really-
But yeah, if it was up here, I'd be able to, because I can't really tell, and I didn't print off the bracket. They don't need to see it, just so I see it. Yeah, you can have it on the screen for them, and then I can just look over here.
But who do we think are probably the favorites here? And then some of your contenders, some dark horses, stuff like that.
Okay, well, I went by Kozak's list, and maybe we just take Kozak's list of the favorites, contenders, dark horses.
He's a smart guy.
And
I trust him.
yeah, we should operate under the idea that he's an authority, because he is. But he said the favorites are Stefan Micic,
True.
Zelim Abakarov, and Ray Higuchi. Do you agree with this list? These 3 guys. Do we think these are the 3?
Kind of depends on how you define favorite, because none of those guys were his pick to win gold, and a lot of people are probably picking to win gold in Spencer Lee.
Yeah.
So Spencer doesn't have the international accolades. Obviously, he hasn't wrestled on the senior level internationally that much, but he is a guy I think just about everybody in the world, not even just America, the world too, they know Spencer Lee because of how many age level world titles he won. Can win Olympic gold.
Yeah, but we'll get into Spencer Lee more later.
Yeah.
Right now, we'll talk about the top 3 contenders, which I think Stevan, Abakarov, and Higuchi are, because Stevan's the returning world champ. Higuchi only lost to Stevan last year, and Abakarov is a guy who dominated. He beat Stevan and Gilman to win a world title in 2022.
Yes.
That was his first year outside of Russia, first year able to compete at a Worlds. And then his only loss was to Stevan. He beat Aguyev too for bronze last year. So I think that absolutely these guys have pretty much only lost to each other recently. Yeah. And I think that we kind of talked about Higuchi being, well, I don't know. Do you want to talk about who's the biggest threat to Spencer, or do you want to dig more into like the other contenders of the weight first?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Well, one, I think Higuchi has never faced Abakarov, correct? They have not met?
As far as I know.
Okay, I don't think they have. So that's an interesting what if, because if you go back to the Abakarov-Micic match, basically a one-sequence match. If they go for Abakarov, he probably wins that match. Stevan, great chest wrap. He got the 4, and so he wins. But that's a super close match. I feel like all 3 of these are really close. Stevan really did a great job against Higuchi. Now, what was your question?
I was asking, do you want to dive more into these guys? Do you want to go into the contenders? Do you want to talk about how Spencer looks against these?
I just think these guys are the 3 most proven at the senior level. I mean, what Stevan did, here's the case for all of them. Stevan ran an absolute gauntlet. He beat every guy. Mm-hmm. Like all the guys, if you lined them all up, these are the best guys at 57. He literally beat them all.
And Aguyev is a notable name missing here.
And of course, there's no Aguyev. He would be here, even though he was 5th last year. Ray Higuchi, 2nd last year. He's he's a former Olympic silver. Dude's just really good. He's got it from everywhere. He can attack both sides really well. Really solid parterre. Maybe of the favorites, I think he's the best top parterre guy.
Another notable thing about these three guys is they all have wrestled at 65 kilos before.
I don't know why Abakarov is small. I've seen him wrestle at 61. He is too little.
Higuchi beat Odoguro at the
Now you
Japan
want cutting weight.
Emperors. Well, I'm just talking about how big these guys are. Higuchi beat Odoguro at the Emperor's Cup in 2019. And Odoguro went on to qualify for the Olympics and win the title later that year. So Higuchi not only has had success at 57, but also 65.
He's super, super good.
Same with Abakarov. Abakarov has beat Stevan at 65. They've wrestled each other at 65 at the Mediterranean Games.
Yeah.
These are all giant 57 kilogram guys.
Yeah. I don't think Abakarov is, but he's awesome at 57. So the case for Abakarov, he's the world champ at 22. Narrow loss to Stevan. He beat Aguyev. He was the world champ the year previous, beating Gilman. When you watch this guy, I mean, his arm drags are absolutely sick, and he's really fast. To me, athletically, I think he's probably the best overall athlete at the weight. Maybe Spencer's in that category.
His parterre is really good.
Yes, really good. Really good on top. Well, I don't know if he's as good as Higuchi.
I was talking about Higuchi. Wait, were you talking about Abakarov?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about
Yeah,
Higuchi.
yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, no, he's okay on top, actually. So we actually have the bracket here. So 8 are seeded, 8 are not. Let's get into our contenders, because that was a decent group too. Read those, because I can't see my paper from here.
Contenders for the title?
Oh, we have a contenders category.
Spencer Lee, Hartunian, Mongush, Abdulayev, Sherwatt, and Mongush. Did I say
Twice.
yeah,
Yeah,
Mongush twice?
He's on there twice. He made double enter. I have watching Mongush. Mongush is fine. He's really solid for Russia.
Yeah.
But as I've been, looking at the pickle that Russia is currently in, and just talking to Kozak, I'll just say that's part of it. The depth in Russia is not what it used to be. It's not close. Now, there's a couple factors. One, they have so many good guys that are wrestling for other countries. They have been
Abakarov.
Abakarov's a great example. They have been gutted by transfers. Musakayev, Abakarov, Tazudinov, all transfers, and there's others. So that kills their depth. But those guys have kind of been around and happening, and they've had transfers in the past, and it hasn't impacted them like this has. So which reveals just the overall lack of depth that they have. It kind of reminds us where Team USA was, where we had these killer ones at almost every weight. But it's like, dude, if Jordan wasn't there, or if this guy wasn't going, it's like we'd be in trouble at this weight. But thank goodness we have that guy. That's how I feel Russia is. And it wouldn't really matter that much if they weren't in this, global, if they weren't in a war right now and getting kicked out, having certain wrestlers kicked out. But it really does reveal their depth issue. And I think since COVID, we've seen it really fall off. It could be just the war, but
Can I rebuttal?
yeah,
I don't think they've fallen off. I mean, Mongush is like their number 6 guy at 57 kg, and he's gonna be.
Who's their number 2?
Hmm?
Who's their number 2?
Yugoyev. Here, let me pull it up. I did the Russian rankings after Russian nationals, and I had this guy ranked number 6.
I'm pretty sure he's been towards the top, didn't
Yeah, he's been towards the top, but
he? Wrestled Aguyev in the finals of Russian nationals, didn't he?
this year, no, he went 1-1. He went 1-1 at Russian nationals this year.
So they just
took bronze in
they
Russia.
Idrisov is their number 2. Pavlov 3.
Dog.
I know, like the dog. Medikanov 4. Gamzadov 5. Then Mongush 6.
yeah.
So like this guy's. I don't think he will medal. He's not a pick, but he's like a threat to medal.
He's U23 world champ.
Whereas like go to America's number 6, not our 2 or 3, but like our 6.
Yeah.
And we're not a threat to medal at any weight.
Yeah.
I don't think Mongush is a threat to medal. Is my point. I do not think that's going to happen.
I don't either, but
be-
I think he's a contender to medal.
Who's our sixth?
I'm gonna pull that. I'm gonna look that.
Probably like someone like Marcus Blaze, Jax Forrest.
Well, I don't. It's tough to say at 57 because a lot of guys didn't continue to wrestle. Like Marcus Blaze took third and made the national team.
That's
without,
why I said-
without beating any senior
that's
level
what I'm
guys.
saying.
Yeah.
You know, I think our sixth guy could go and do just as well.
Our sixth guy could be like a Suriano or like a
Dayton. Yeah, absolutely. So I would push back, repush, repush,
Well, I just
rebut.
I just don't think they've fallen off like you.
Oh, I don't.
They have. There's been a decline, but I think that has more to do with the transfers that they're losing. Now they're losing their best number 2s and 3s.
The other, I mean, it is crazy. Like, when you're talking about that top 6 for Russia, 4 out of the 5 were from Dagestan, which means probably they're not going to get past that screening process or whatever because of the war. So that is weird. That is a bizarre thing, and we don't. It's like you don't get to see those guys wrestle that often unless you're like really watching like the Russian tournaments. So
You gotta be nerding pretty hard.
Yeah.
So on this contenders list, the big name here is obviously the name we're behind, along with Stevan and Roman and Darren.
Stefan's not a contender. He's a favorite.
I know, but guy we're getting behind is Spencer Lee, and he's a tough one to sort of place because as JD mentioned or maybe alluded to, Kozak picked Spencer to win the Olympics. And while not listing him as a favorite, and you can see why, because on the one hand, Spencer has not lost at the senior level, so he's obviously a contender. But on the other hand, he hasn't beaten the level of guys that Stevan and Ray and Abakarov have, and for that reason, there is a doubt. And I think if Spencer 10-0 Zhao, I wonder if we get him in the favorites category. I wonder if that is the match that's just planting the seed of maybe not. Because otherwise, if he just chews through everyone like he has basically everyone else, then maybe it's a different story, right?
I feel like there's still doubt. I feel like there's always slight doubt until you beat the guy. I mean, he did beat Thomas, but there's always some like, yeah, but he still hasn't done it yet.
People point to his win over Gilman, and I think that it's obviously
2 times.
both of his wins over Gilman. I think they're obviously great wins, but Gilman himself had not cracked this tier really. He won in 2021, but didn't beat any of guys like that in 2022. Huh?
Did you just say Gilman isn't in a top tier?
Yeah, bro.
He was
Bro,
not. He didn't.
bro.
He didn't beat these.
Put on the dumb take helmet or these sunglasses.
Bro,
that was a bad take.
He didn't. He
That
lost.
was a bad take.
He lost to Abakarov. Higuchi wasn't at the weight.
Yeah, Olympic.
He
bronze.
didn't beat. He'd never beat Uguyev. Like he didn't. He didn't crack that tier. That top 3 of those guys.
He's literally a bronze and silver. I mean, he was bronze at the Olympics.
And world
I'm saying-
champion.
If we were sending Gilman instead of Spencer, would you put him in the favorites category? You wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't be able to.
He'd be a contender.
Yeah. So that's the
don't know.
point I'm trying to make here.
He might still be in that tier.
I don't think he'd put him in the favorites after not wrestling hardly at all. You can't go from world silver losing 2 to Zane Richards and then back on the team, but no international wins and be a favorite.
Yeah, I forgot he lost to Zane Richards.
But I think I think you're right. He probably would be slotted as a contender. So
Okay, I don't want to say that he never was at that level, but like the Gilman that Spencer beat, like we have to be honest with ourselves at like where he was.
he was better than 22 Gilman. I'll say that. 23 Gilman looked way better to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Won the bracket. Maybe
But I'm saying even okay, when you say 22 Gilman, you're talking about
that lost to Zane.
that's
23
Gilman.
23, yeah.
23 Gilman.
No.
Well,
Oh, 23.
yeah, 2022
Yeah, my
was
bad.
when Gilman lost to Abakarov in the finals.
Yeah. 23.
So even if you put him on par with 2022 Gilman, that's a guy who lost to Abakarov handily.
Mm-hmm. True, but Abakarov might just be the guy though. He could. To
He's
me,
good.
Man, as I've thought about like who is the toughest matchup for Spencer, and I'm between Abakarov and Stevan.
Why not Higuchi? Because Kozak thinks it's Higuchi.
Could be.
I think it's Gucci.
I've just seen Higuchi's had like lapses and lulls that confuse me. I think he's gonna have a harder time finishing on. I think how Abakarov scores is way more efficient and likely to give Spencer problems than Ray's, which are more. Ray's clean, like his single leg is just next level, and his high crotch and double, like he's got it all. But I think he's gonna have a harder time finishing than Abakarov. If he gets to his scores, like he's already basically behind you. I just think he's a more efficient scorer.
I like Higuchi's offense from the open. His ability to attack from different positions, especially from like the touches or from the open, be able to explode into Spencer the way that Zhao did.
If Spencer's head hands are cleaned up, no one's beating him.
Yeah.
I really don't think so. He can't be letting guys in, willy-nilly, hardly at all. He's got to have that lockdown and get his face in the way. If he's doing that, I don't think anyone's beating him. And the reason I'm gonna ultimately I think pick Spencer to win is he takes everyone down. There's not a match he's not gonna get a takedown. And when he gets on top, he gets a turn in like 98% of his matches. So that's just uncanny. No one's felt what he brings from the top position in the past. But Stevan, conversely, find footage of Stevan getting turned. This is not a challenge or saying it's never happened. Find it. I mean, I went back to Dayton Fix, U.S. Open 2015, Junior Open, the last time I can remember. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. It was my last recollection of Stevan. Maybe it happened at the Olympics, but he generally just he does get scored on, but he's tough to turn, and his length's a problem. And he's crafty getting into legs. This is such a deep field. I can't wait for this one. It really is probably my favorite weight.
You want to talk about some of the other contenders like
Hartunian? Hartunian's really good. Major liability in parterre defense. Yeah. If you recall, this was the World Semi where Dayton Fix quick, I think it's pass by and then 4 guts match over. And that's not a one-off trend. Obviously, Dayton is incredible from top, but we've seen this guy get turned consistently. But he is a tough out. But I like Spencer in a matchup against him just because he makes mistakes.
We were watching some matches and Higuchi was picking him apart with this sweep single.
Yes.
And yeah, he's a liability on parterre. So I feel like Spencer, if he ends up on the same part of the bracket as Hartunian, you're like, all right, that's good.
Yeah, he's a powerhouse for sure, Hartunian. He's big and strong. He's a 61 typically. So I think he'll be tough. If you're a USA fan, not to totally shift gears, but we can kind of make it. Which side do you think is more beneficial for Spencer to be on, top or bottom?
I think it's equal.
I kind of do too. Except no, bottom better. Abakarov and Micic.
You want the Hartunian Zhao quad.
Yeah.
That's the quad you want. Because Higuchi, I think, is a real threat to him. And then Stefan Micic and Abakarov are also real threats. But Hartunian and Zhao, he's got those guys.
Yeah. Totally agree. So I think bottom, no doubt.
Plus, you probably want Hartunian like closer to the scale, as close to scale as you can get him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or man, freaking Higuchi off the scale.
Yeah, good point.
Yes.
Higuchi's so big. Although he is so big, but is he really? Because Stevan made him look teeny tiny. Like so small. I'm like, is this a 48? So I don't know. But yeah, I think bottom. Abdullaev's an interesting guy. He's got some really nice moments. He's the one American fans were elated when he lost to Zaur Ugoyev at the Olympics. He had Ugoyev dead to rights, and then Ugoyev hit an inside trip, and at literally the last second, basically his time was expiring almost, to beat Abdullaev and make the finals. So it was but he's good for Uzbekistan, for sure. He was another one of the contenders, I believe, that he had down. Aman from India, he smoked Zane Richards, beat him really soundly. Really physical, big, strong guy. Kind of.
We've been calling him a Mon because of the way India like registers. They do double names.
I like
But
to go back to back.
it is Aman Sherawat. So if you hear us say Sherawat, that's who we're
Sure.
talking about.
Sure do.
Whatever you say. But yeah, he's tough for sure. And I think he's a guy that gets you. He's a guy, unless you smoke him 10-0, like going into your next match, you're going to be still feeling that match, right? He's, I would say he like really embodies that Indian style of wrestling, like super physical, very strong, high motor.
Also a liability in parterre though.
Yeah, not great. So that's a guy.
Abdullayev teched him.
Yeah.
10-0.
You could tech smoke him for sure. Okay.
Hey, one name we haven't mentioned yet.
The chat's all over this.
I need to get your take on this. Roman Bravo Young.
Yes.
How does he do?
The chat's all over it, man. They're glad you're finally saying something about it. I mean, he's not a guy you want to get drawn in against you, I don't think. I mean,
He's in our dark horses, so
Yeah.
we were gonna get to
getting
him.
to Roman.
We were gonna get to him.
I know. The chat wanted him right away. They were
Well,
ready for him.
that's cart before the horse a little bit.
It is, but that's going to be the appeal for American fans, right? I mean, Penn
Yeah.
State, huge fan base. He hasn't done it in freestyle on the senior level at all, but we've seen how good this guy is. His ability to score from attacks and then also reattacks is insane. I don't know how much we know about him in parterre, but I don't know. He's probably my favorite one to watch in this field in terms of like intrigue and what's going to happen.
I don't know much
put
about
this.
him.
He
Not
got
only-
turned at Pan Am's.
Yeah.
He did?
So,
By
yes.
who?
Like Venezuela or something.
Mm.
So now,
He won.
who knows? Yeah, he won. He's never lost on the senior level, but he doesn't blow guys out. He gets taken down occasionally, and he gives up, a turn or two here and there, which does not give you supreme confidence in him bringing home a medal. But, I mean, this guy's a two-time NCAA champion. Like, I do think there is a little bit of gamer in him that is just like, yeah, I'm wrestling, Venezuela. Like, I'm going to win this match. So I think it'll be different come Paris. He's not a title threat. But I'll put him in my medal threat contention. I'm not predicting him to bring home a medal, but he winds up in a bronze match. I'm not surprised.
He has a win over Loper. You know that, right?
With Chaser, he beat the Chaser in France.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Like 1-1 or 2-1.
It was 2-1. I think it was
No
all,
offensive points.
It was
it was
brutal.
all passivity points.
Brutal. And that's the thing. He's going to have to win a certain kind of match. I feel like right now Roman can win a certain kind of match, but it's kind of like this it's very controlled, not a ton of exchanges, right? Like he's really picking his spots. I don't know if he's preserving his tank and he's like really concerned because everyone knows that the cut's going to be tough for Roman at 57. Is he just a little concerned now? And is that concern going to wane as he gets to Paris and he's had a couple more weigh-ins and this will be the best time for his best weigh-in. He's going to feel his best. That's potentially true too. We've seen Stevan is able to navigate it and look really good at 57 kilograms. Can Roman do that similarly? Because if so, then I still don't think he's going to be like a Terminator that's scoring like tons of points on guys, but his reattacks and his counter scores are really good. He can generate. I think honestly his ability to shoot and drive, if he can get step outs, he can kind of accumulate points. But he is right now a total unknown in this game, and we're having to guess a lot. And the chat, if the chat can point to some example that we're missing that says, other than him beating Dayton Fix in a folk style match, bring it up.
Well, Avery Gaming says his gas tank is ready. So
Wow.
take it to the bank.
Well, I didn't know that. You're telling me that for the first time.
Now you know.
Okay. No.
Arzazadeh, also a dark horse, as well as Zhao.
Yeah, I mean, Zhao's tough. I mean, I think of the dark horses, Roman is the one that I believe has the potential to be the most dangerous.
I think Arzadeh got up on Higuchi like 8-0 at what tournament was that at? So the
Midlands?
The rankings.
the rankings tournament. Yeah, Midlands. And then Higuchi ended up coming back, but dude's legit.
Higuchi randomly gets in these like firefights.
Yes.
Like every now and again, he just goes nuts.
Well, that one was a takedown and 3 laces.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he got taken down a bunch of
Yeah, I know. Higuchi had a 16-14 match with Hartunian at Worlds last year.
Oh yeah.
That was a great match.
It was
we
awesome.
watched that like a week or so ago. It was so fun. Well, he got like forward immediately. Like both, he got picked up in a double, and like both his feet are like way up in the air. It looked like how I would like double leg Caleb and just like a little boy. But anyway, okay, 57 is so great. What's the next kind of thing? We should give Kozak's prediction here. This is his official prediction. Then we could do ours. Spencer Lee, gold medal, USA champion. Show me, not this guy. Silver, Zelim Abakarov. Bronze, Stefan Micic. Bronze, Ray Higuchi. That is the medal table for John Kozak.
He's predicting Abakarov to beat Stevan, and I think that is blasphemy.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of like I mentioned, it was sort of a one exchange really decided it, but then again, I can say that 1,000 times, like, oh, it was just because Stevan hit this chest wrap. That's what Stevan does. He is really a really tricky counter wrestler, and I mean that's how he's. Pretty sure he had a good one against Agoyev as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just
Chest wrap against Agoyev? I don't know.
a trip in there.
You might be right. You might be
Could be
right.
thinking about Abakarov.
No, you're right.
But he hits it pretty routinely. He had a great counter score against Higuchi, where he sat to the corner and got two. Like that's just Stevan's really, really good there.
But you ask me who I'm more comfortable with, what side I would have liked to see him on. I would have liked to see him on the same side as Higuchi instead of Abakarov.
Are you talking about
Matchup
who are
wise
you
for
talking
Stevan?
about? Yeah, I agree with that.
Because Abakarov beat him in 2022 pretty handily, and then it was a close match this past year, and I just feel like Stevan could figure it out easier against Higuchi.
Kind of a reverse situation in the Abakarov-Micic first meeting because it was a counter, I think it was a chest wrap from Abakarov that got two.
I haven't gone back and watched
It was Stevan was on the leg and he got counter scored for two. And it was one, if Stevan finishes that, then he's either winning or he's like within a point. And then it was one, it made it like 5-1 or something like that. I think it would have made it 3-3.
I remember feeling like he was scoring off of Stevan's attacks in their match in 2022, and Stevan did a good job of being patient, forcing him to kind of attack in the last meeting. Yeah,
and also I give Stevan a lot of credit in his ability to finish shots and not get counter scored. And his length is just such a just his ability to just like be extended on shots and still be really, really tough to counter is a huge, huge attribute he has. He really is. I think if you did like have a gold medal favorite, like betting ones, if you were making the betting lines, which is something we should maybe make JD do because he's our resident betting lines maker. I think it would be Stevan.
Yeah.
Is that what you would think?
That's what I would think.
You know,
You know how biased I am.
who do you think the favorite would be?
Who would you make it?
Yeah, James Dean.
I don't know.
What do you think, Bray? Because you got to know.
Yeah, you got to go Stevan. I mean, he's a returning champ. He went on a run.
He literally beat all the guys.
You got to do it. You got to make him the betting lines favorite.
If you don't make it Stevan, you would have to make it like Spencer.
But if you make it Stevan, a lot of people are gonna bet against him. I think a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. People laugh at the idea of Spencer not winning the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I mean, he definitely can, guys. But there's just, what was the last thing I got fired up about? Where just people just, oh yeah, Zane, bad draw. Oh yeah, that was Shane with the bad draw thing. It's like, you guys don't understand the level here. It's like, this is a really good weight. And Spencer,
Well, I get frustrated because I've seen people in the comments of our Instagram arguing about like Aaron Brooks versus Spencer Lee, or like who will do better at the Olympics, and they'll be like, well, this guy Aaron's a 4-time national champion, Spencer's only a 3-time, like, so Aaron will do better at the Olympics than Spencer will. Like the idea that how many national titles you win has a correlation or like will directly impact your success at the international level. I'm sure there's correlation.
I would say that there's
Forget that I
Well,
said that.
no,
What I'm saying is like the idea that you can just make assumptions off of how they will do at the international level because of how many national titles they've won. Like newsflash, Jordan Burroughs won 2. He didn't win 4. Like I don't know.
Newsflash, buddy.
People make me mad. They're like, he's a 4-time national champ. He'll definitely win gold. Whatever. Like,
Well, they just don't know.
they just don't know.
They just don't know. It's okay.
It's not FRL
listen,
listeners. It's
that's
not
what-
FRL listeners.
This is
and
what
that's
you're.
what I should realize.
This is what you're for, Tyler.
Yes.
You're supposed to bridge that gap. the Gen Z, know nothing, Instagram, TikTokers. That's what you said you were gonna do. You said I'm going to educate the masses.
I did?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, saying like Aaron Brooks won 4 NCAA titles, so he's automatically going to win the Olympics. That's obviously a crazy take. But to say that there's no correlation between like success.
No,
at
shut
the
up. There's a
NCAA
correlation.
college
obviously.
wrestling and then having success later.
But
And there are
Obviously, but the
exceptions to that.
amount, I get frustrated that people who think that the amount of NCAA titles should impact it. Like,
Yeah, of course.
if a guy who peaked at an NCAA title his senior year versus a guy who won it 4 times, like they might have reached the same peak. They both ended their careers in the same
It's
place.
just because Miles and Stavon never.
Correct.
Yeah,
What?
Okay, got it. Nothing.
Neither of them won titles.
I know.
And they have
That's-
had better
that's your
international-
point.
They have had better international.
No, that's not what. This
careers.
is not what I'm talking about at all. I get fired up thinking about like the idea, like this guy is blind to the fact that Jordan Burroughs won 2 national titles and went on to have this.
Yeah, they don't know that.
And then a guy like Yanni won 4 and has a world silver. Like hasn't done that yet. So, like I think people just assume that. I don't know. I don't know why people assume that stuff.
There's also like just a gap. Like Zane Rutherford was probably one of the top 3 or 4 greatest college wrestlers ever. And it took him, I mean, first of all, the dude made a world team in 2017 after his like junior year. But for him to get to that, to translate it all, there is sometimes a gap, right?
Curve, a learning curve.
Yeah. Okay.
We want to give our predictions.
Yeah.
Well, do we have any next things? I think that was it. Yeah, we can do our predictions. This is so hard. I don't even want to do this.
Coward.
But we should. But, all right. Courageous one. You shaved your head bald. You have more courage than all of us.
It's true.
Although you immediately went back on it. I think you're gonna grow it back out.
Immediately went back on it. What do you mean? I didn't regrow my hair
Oh,
very long in
Oh yeah.
4 days.
You should do the Artie.
Still gone.
You should have the Artie Bucco. I kind of like that too. I like that. You should just shave this part bald and just so you can have like the Artie Bucco.
Well, I don't. It's getting there on its own.
Okay. You don't need to help it.
Yeah, it doesn't need performance enhancers. I'm gonna say I'll get my predictions first. I'm a man. I'm gonna go Higuchi gold,
Wow.
Abakarov silver, Micic and Spencer bronze. I also think if you wrestle this bracket 10 times, you're gonna get 3 or 4 different champs. Like I think Spencer would win one time, but he's just a guy, and I need to see it done first. The match with Zhao does scare me, whether it should or not. And I have no data to back up this take, but I'm just gonna say it that Japan lightweights ball out at the Olympics. They're just really good in general, but I feel like they always perform really well at the Olympics.
I don't think they did great last one at 57. It was
They did.
Takahashi,
Takahashi beat Steve on first round though.
and then he got eliminated.
Yeah.
But they won
Still have
65.
Yeah.
I said lightweights. Plural.
Higuchi.
I'm throwing that in. I'm not just saying 57.
Higuchi won or not won. He earned a silver medal at 2016 Olympics.
Yes, he did.
At this weight.
So
He was right there to beat Kenchikashvili. That was a passivity point, like kind of a late pass, and he was kind of just stalling a little bit, Higuchi, but he was right there to win the Olympics in 16. I do not think he's going to win this weight.
he does have variance in performances and gives up some points, so makes you worried, but like I said.
We've got a lot of good rookie debuts for legends. We've seen it many times, and I think we're gonna have another one here with Spencer Lee. I think he's gonna win. I think it's a point scoring contest, and I think he's got the ability to outscore them all. And so I think it's him. Now it's tricky because he could be anywhere in this bracket, and so I'm saying a silver that he could be on the same side of, which would make it not happen. But I'm gonna say Spencer, Stavon, Higuchi, Abakarov are my 4. And I feel
Same 4 different order.
same 4 different order.
We all have the same 4.
And I have a hard time. I think people are going to have a hard time getting a different 4th in there. Now, 2 separate things. I think it's probably unlikely that's going to be the 4, just from the random draw aspect.
Correct.
And also things happen. But it's sort of hard to put a different 4 in there, especially from an American perspective.
That feels like one tier. Then there's a tier 2 with like Artunian and Azerbaijan and Abdullayev, those kind of guys. Those 4, and maybe put RBY in that tier as well. But
Yeah,
those 4 kind of feel like on their own tier.
totally agree. Yeah, very interesting. For as great as the weight is, it feels like it's those 4.
Yeah, I think when we first saw the seeds for this weight, we're like, or Kozak came on, he said, yeah, I think Spencer wants to be on the top side. He doesn't want to be on the bottom side with Higuchi. I think we all kind of disagree right now. We all think that being on the bottom side would be better than being on the same side with Mičić.
I didn't necessarily say I thought Higuchi was not a good matchup, but I said you'd still rather be in the quadrant above Higuchi.
Yeah, so I think where we all want Spencer to be is in that quadrant with Hartunian and Zhao.
I don't give a rip. But
that's where I'm going to assume he is for purpose of this rankings, right? I'm going to go. I'm going to go Abakarov bronze.
Oh, he's going reverse order.
Yeah, Higuchi
I wonder
bronze.
who he's gonna take for gold.
Spencer silver, Mičić gold.
And I maybe have already said this. I view Mičić, Abakarov, and Higuchi as pretty similar threats to him.
Yeah.
The bummer is if Spencer is on the top side, one of those guys will walk away without a medal.
Yep.
And that's
Probably Muhammad of Egypt.
It's looking like Gama Muhammad. Yeah, Gama Muhammad. I'm starting to think his chances are not very good.
I don't think he's finishing top 8
And
again.
because of the Repshot system, that's why you really want to be in that quadrant with Zhao and Hartunian, because then you feel good about getting pulled back in,
Yeah.
at least. But if you lose to Abakarov first round and then he gets got by Mičić,
Yeah. Yeah.
no medal.
Man, do you think this is the most is this the weight that has the most fan intrigue? I kind of think
For
so.
Americans,
There's the most Americans in it.
Yeah, but I mean we are
Right.
the fan base of wrestling.
That's what I'm saying. It has the most Americans in
Yeah, but I mean
an Olympic bracket.
because like another American threat is Stefan, so that's a decent pull that
This is
you
the
don't have
most
at other
Roman.
weights.
Hands down, this is the most
Yes.
intriguing because everyone wants to know what Spencer Lee is going to look like. But that's just one of many storylines in
Yes.
this. If it just had Spencer Lee and that's it, and it's Spencer Lee's first Olympics, that alone
Yes.
would bring this way towards the top of the list. And then you throw in RBY, where is he going to be? You throw in, I mean, we haven't even mentioned Darian Cruz, like made us wait to get into the Olympics till later. That's a guy that nobody's going to be, expecting to probably like place in this bracket, but another guy you got to look at. Stefan's the 1 seed, plus everybody likes, Higuchi, Hartunian, Abakarov. So 100%, this is the most intriguing.
Plus, we lost Dake Sidakov, which was a huge pull for Americans, and the return of Sadulayev and Snyder and Tazudinov, that little triangle there. So those were maybe the other 2 really big storylines.
and I'll say no Taylor Yazdani.
And no
That
Taylor
was a
Yazdani.
super hype match every time, even though it's like we kind of know what's going to happen here. It's like that's the match you got.
I would argue there's more intrigue in 86 now because there's no Taylor and because it's Aaron.
I don't
who's
think
unknown.
so. No.
Hey, take number
you-
2 where you can put on the speed dealers or the dumb helmet.
Yeah.
Are you joking? You're not more. Okay, we've seen David beat Yazdani 1,000,000 times. I'm not putting
But on the speed dealers.
You're going to make this point. You got to put on the speed dealers.
Yeah.
Actually, it's like because Tyler likes putting on the
we've
speed
seen-
dealers.
It's for your own good.
We've seen Taylor beat Yazdani, especially after watching him beat him in 2022 and 2023, like dominantly. If he was going to be the guy that we were sending the Olympics this year, you'd be like, all right, David Taylor, Olympic gold. But now Aaron Brooks is going, and you're like, what does he look like against Yazdani? I'm way more curious to see what match 1 of Brooks versus Yazdani looks like than match like 10 of Taylor Yazdani.
Hardcore fans are definitely more interested in it because they don't know. But in terms of overall broadness, like I bet the Olympic channel was super bummed that
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he was literally one of
happening.
the reps that they brought
Ambassadors.
in. Yeah.
This guy knows hardcore though. Look at him.
Yeah.
Get a close up.
Oh,
This is a hardcore. Look at this dude.
dang.
Man, this is dangerous.
Wow. Look at him. Dang.
Man.
You see that guy?
I said you should have had to put on the dumb take helmet to protect what little brain cells you have left.
No,
You see that guy? You see that guy?
He's courageous. Dang. He won't break.
No, he
He's
won't.
got that little snarl on the left side. That's it.
You see that guy skateboarding down a parking garage ramp. You're
you're
getting
like-
out of the way.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm throwing a little rock and hoping he goes over it.
Oh my gosh, like a Big Daddy.
Yeah.
I'm right, and you guys know
Branches.
it.
I get why you think.
More fan interest.
I understand. No, not more fan interest.
Yes.
Hardcore fans are more excited for it,
Yes.
but
Yeah,
Those are the ones we're speaking
that's who you're
to.
talking to. No,
Those are our,
No,
that's
you're-
our audience right now.
that's true. We have a hardcore audience. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you gotta. That's why you have to look so edgy all the
I'm
time.
glad you guys admitted I'm right.
No. Okay. Did we do 57? Do you want to get?
Give me Spencer Lee.
Oh,
Spencer
let's
Lee's gonna
go.
win this bracket. I'm feeling bad because he's gonna take out Gamil Muhammad first round, but then he's gonna have to beat Stevan in a tight one. That's a quarterfinal. He's gonna win the bracket. He's gonna beat Higuchi in the finals. Hard Tunian bronze.
So you want him to beat Stevan Abakar?
I don't want him to. He
just
got got drawn in with Gamil Muhammad, the 8 seed from Egypt.
and then he's running the gauntlet.
Yeah, I didn't say what I don't want anything. I just
That'd be
want.
legendary.
That would be like the
the scenario
Stevan.
you're painting for us.
That would be like the Stevan gauntlet last year if he
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
that one.
it would be.
Goes to Stevan.
Well, you forgot Muhammad. Muhammad first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Egypt.
Yeah.
Keep forgetting Gamal Muhammad.
Yeah.
All right, should we move on to questions from friends?
How much are we gonna cry if he like steps over on a Spencer gut?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
But all, the American
You
fans.
just said that. You just put that out in the ether.
Yeah,
That's not how. That's
crazy.
not how it works, you lunatics. You guys still,
All
have,
right, if
This
it
is-
happens,
this is
it's on
wood?
you.
still have night lights.
This is wood. That's all I'm saying.
I,
You're really not going to knock
I'm
that
not knocking it. No,
I'm not going to knock that wood.
I don't knock wood.
That's some kind of
I
composite.
revere
anyway.
wood. I revere wood.
That's some kind of composite material.
Yeah, it's not real.
All right, fine. Knock on composite material is always what the saying's been.
You can knock on my behalf.
No, I refuse.
All right, what's next?
Are
Are we doing
move on
questions?
from questions from friends?
Yeah, I just blacked out. I don't even know what time it is. 11:19.
We got 11 minutes.
Holy cow!
Man. We still got
So
Monday Blues
flew.
to get to, too.
Oh, we should do blues first.
All right, Monday Blues.
Shoot out.
Well, you guys really just stole the opportunity from JD to bring up Monday Blues.
Monday Blues. So my Monday Blue.
Oh,
My Monday Blue is that when we were discussing has Russia fallen off, I didn't say I think we are also getting a skewed view because of how much the depth in America has increased. So we don't view the depth quite as impressive as we used to now that we have guys who are legitimate not title contenders, but medal threats several deep.
I don't want to go yet. I'm still thinking.
It's not a blue. You just wanted to read.
No, I'm sad that I didn't say that earlier.
Yeah.
That I was trying to articulate that and I didn't.
Wow.
That makes me sad, but no, I'm happy because I got it out.
Fine.
So that's what this whole thing is about.
That's
You don't
the
have
whole
a blue?
point.
Not yet.
Okay. My Monday Blue is I have ringworm on my face.
Dang.
Right here.
Oh, did not
Nasty, bro.
did not defend what he's built.
Super gross.
What the heck, bro? How'd you get that?
Wrestling in a guy's garage.
That's Garage Worm.
That's right.
That's
worm?
not a good worm to have.
That's not good.
I don't think I've ever gotten it on my face. I'm getting
This is my first time.
everywhere else.
You know, it started. They were bug bites for sure. They were like mosquito bites.
I don't think ringworm like
It doesn't.
No,
it
that
doesn't
happens.
morph.
like
No, that happens to me. I oftentimes get bug bites that turn into ringworm if I like wrestle with them
Worm bites?
because it's an opening in your skin. It gets in the.
I've heard
fungus
of like
gets in.
I've heard of like staph infection happening like that, but yeah, dude, you're like RFK. You got worms in your head.
It's happened. I got worms in my head, but don't call me a worm head.
Yeah.
No, I've had that happen to me a bunch of times before, where I get like a mosquito bite and it turns into ringworm because of
Dang.
wrestling or whatever.
That's just malaria.
Oh snap! No way.
Yeah.
Not
I got
Also, I feel like
malaria
I don't
in
get
my
that many
head, but
bug
don't
bites
tell
on
me.
my cheek.
Some people
You
just.
got you got multiple bug bites on your cheek.
Yeah.
Like
I can tell. You can tell the difference in how a bug bite feels versus how a ringworm feels. Like it's like a
yeah, I know the
swollen, like,
difference between
ball.
bug bites and
They
ringworm.
were definitely bug bites, and they turned to ringworm. And I don't know why you're making me talk about it for this long.
He's got susceptible cheeks.
I got
Yeah.
susceptible.
Successful cheek.
Anyways,
Very
what about
unsuccessful
Bray?
at getting ringworm?
I got
what's
one.
your Monday
Get a
blue?
blue,
Yeah,
blue.
this kind of made me sad. Well, it started great. Last night, I introduced my kids to one of my favorite childhood movies, Little Giants.
Okay,
Great movie.
classic.
And then it got me thinking about the Rick Moranis cinematic universe. And I'm like going through, I was reading Rick Moranis. I'm like, what happened to that guy?
Yeah.
He quit acting in 1997.
Yeah, his wife got sick.
Just quit.
He just took care of his
He's like, oh,
wife.
I'm going to take a couple years off, and then he just never came back. What a loss. You probably don't even know who Rick Moranis is.
No
Honey,
idea.
I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
Oh, I know who Rick Moranis is.
Yeah. Rick Moranis.
Spaceballs. Have you seen Spaceballs?
Of course, one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Lord Helmet.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I know him.
Yeah. So Rick Moranis, he just called it a career. Dark Helmet.
Dark Helmet,
Yeah.
thank you.
He called it a career in '97.
Say Lord Helmet.
Never came back. Anyway,
Rick Moranis. The movie does say
Rick Moranis gone too soon, but he's still didn't
Not
have
dead.
to.
He's not gone.
No, but he is gone.
He's gone from acting.
Yeah.
gone out of my life,
Too soon.
except for when I rewatch Spaceballs like once every other year.
You know, we don't get movies like that anymore. That's a Monday Blue. You don't get spoof movies anymore.
Rick Moranis is 71 years old. There's still time for a
What?
comeback. He could still come back.
71?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Crazy,
insane.
yeah.
Yeah.
My Monday Blues, Caleb's been sick the last couple of days, and he's getting to be unbearable because he's just been stuck in the house, and he needs to be doing his normal Caleb activities, and he's just in the house, just hating life right now. But minor setback for major comeback. Because we got big plans. We're going to have a Carter Bray sleepover. That got derailed last time because Caleb was sick. I had to drive Carter home. So we're going to try that again. We got 4th of July plans. We're going to the OTC. We should mention that.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be fun. You, me, and Kyle Klingman covering the Olympians. And maybe some of the non-Olympians. I don't know. Everyone's going to be there.
Yeah. That's gonna be awesome. We'll be there, and then next Monday there's like a media day. We're gonna get to talk to all the Olympians. I can't wait. I know, and it's my hometown. I get to go, visit my hometown, Colorado Springs.
Nice.
Olympians and other sports too.
Yeah, why not? We'll just get some swimmers in there.
We'll get the break dancing team's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk to them. That's more the reason we're going.
All right. I'm gonna give you a top 5 ranking, and I want you to guess this question from Slink. He wants us to rank the top
Blink
5.
182.
Top 5 of something. I'm gonna have you guess what I'm ranking.
Oh wait, hold on. I gotta take it off the screen. I switched it. Don't worry, it's not on the
I'm gonna go with John Smith, Jordan Burroughs, David Taylor. Let's throw Dave Schultz in there, and let's go. Who can I?
If we're getting one obvious one, I feel like
Probably Cale Sanderson.
Oh.
that one. I was also gonna throw in Ben Askren.
Oh snap! Good one.
Well, I don't know. Wait, what am I ranking?
You're
Yeah,
supposed
that's what
to
I'm
guess
telling you. You're
what
supposed to
he's
guess
asking
what
you
I'm
to rank.
ranking.
I thought it was 2-time champs until you said Kale.
I really haphazardly threw mine together just now.
I don't know.
I might want to revise
Greatest
it in the future.
American wrestlers of all time.
Good guess. It's top 5 most technical American wrestlers of all time.
Yep. I don't know about Schultz. I haven't watched enough.
This is a question from the real
Yeah,
Slink.
I feel like he was legendary for his studying of foreigners and then implementing that and being innovative in his techniques and different. So technical, it's always vague and weird to describe because it's like, well, if you're the best wrestler, you're the most technical, like almost like by definition. But we sometimes a lot take it as, oh, he's not the fastest or the strongest or the most endurance.
I think we mean it as like you're either like super proficient at some things or like you have the most. I feel like the way we do the most ways to do some things great. Like how many different leg attacks do you have? John Cale. Man, honestly, in a weird way, I want to put like Jordan Oliver in there just because I felt like at his heyday, like for someone I watched, like he was really, really tricky. I want to say Nolf. I want to say Jordan Burroughs. Those are guys that come to mind.
I tried to only say Olympic champs.
Yeah, I'm just kind of. Yeah, I know you were.
Yeah, that's why that was with the
Throwing
realm
some
I
new
was
guys
getting
in
stuck
there.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Who do you think would be the best head coach of a D1 team that is wrestling right now? That's from Bennett Durham Klein on Twitter.
Bo Bassett. You laugh.
Let's say college.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
I know. It feels like in like 15 years.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can pull this up, and I'll be like, turn it up.
Yeah, you'll be what, 82
Yeah, 82. Imagine if I was
in 15 years?
67. It'd be incredible.
Can I say my answer?
Yeah.
I'm going to go Keegan O'Toole.
Ooh, love it.
Love it.
Because, he learned from Ben, who we all think very highly of as a coach. I no idea if he even has interest in coaching, but he seems like a very personal guy, too, that everybody who's around likes. He learned under Coach Smith, who I think is a good coach. So, and he's another very technical guy, a lot of ways to score. And if he can kind of push that on his wrestlers, I think they would have success, obviously.
On that note, give me Parker
Dang
Kekais
it.
and
I was
Mitchell
thinking-
Messenbrink.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of those two also.
Yeah.
Well, you can't pick them both.
All right, I'm gonna go with Kekais. He has like that temperament and the. I feel like, you don't think so?
No, he does.
Okay.
Just think about who I might say.
I like Parker a lot. Like as a person, he's very personable. I could see him being a really good recruiter too.
Yeah. Who else?
Do they have to be wrestling in college, or can they still be wrestling on the senior level?
Yeah, let's say that. Broaden it.
Okay.
Broaden it.
Yanni,
Yep.
John Diakomaha.
who I know he has a very high interest in coaching.
We've
and
said that
involved
this
in coaching.
various versions of this question have come up before, and we've always named Yanni.
And the other thing about Yanni is like when you look at his social media, you can tell he's already thinking about and cares about like the recruiting aspect and like all those parts that some of these guys like they're mat rats. They want to be on the mat constantly. I think he thinks about some of the other like coaching adjacent things that are not just the wrestling.
When we were in town with Jackson Bowe, the day before like college coaches could recruit and stuff, they were in town running like a camp. Yanni and Mike Gray were.
I'd say, Chance Marsteller is interesting. That guy
Does he have desire to coach in college,
I don't know.
or is he just gonna like
Wouldn't
go
surprise-
club?
Wouldn't surprise me if he did. I think right now for his senior level career, it makes more sense for him to have a really, really good elite club. But I could see him being a really good college coach for sure.
I like it.
Cool.
Cool. Another question. How much time do we got left?
We got 2 minutes.
2 piece of minutes.
We kind of talked about this before, but I'll entertain it. Dean at FRL_Q_asker on Twitter said, track and field Olympics, every country gets 3 athletes per event as long as they've achieved the Olympic standard. You don't see many athletes leaving their home country because of this. Why can't we have a rule like this in wrestling?
I feel like that does happen in track and field a lot. I remember we did a video about it. I think it happens either here nor there. That would definitely impact the transfer market if you had to be top 3. I think we still see it to an extent, and why we don't have it is because we're only allowed 1 entry into the Worlds and Olympics. And
I think he's saying why don't.
yeah, because it's hard to quantify Olympic standard in wrestling because like there's a time and there's no time trials in wrestling.
We could open up the brackets bigger, allow countries to send more guys at Olympic qualifiers and stuff like that.
Do you get multiple entries per weight in like an individual event, like a 100? Do they have multiple guys?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's one of the things that actually Kozak.
I hate that.
Well, I think it's great. Kozak and I were talking about this morning, and he said one of the reasons he thinks that it's easier to market like Olympic trials in swimming or running or whatever is, that this athlete's going to be up in all these different events throughout. So, like Michael Phelps is the main example where it's like, well, yeah, you can push the story of a guy that is going to be competing over the course of a 6-day period, like 8 times, 10 times. If we had bigger fields and we knew, like I do think it'd be easier to kind of, have more stars and slow the bracket down and, get this guy and that guy in, just have more, widen the field. I think it'd be great.
Well, it's also like you want to tune in to like the final. A lot of people don't want to tune in all day or for 2 days for an entire bracket. But hey, America's wrestling for an Olympic gold medal. 10 minutes lock in at this time. It's much more marketable than, hey, watch him compete hopefully several times over the course of many hours.
I feel like one thing we would lose and why it could be a negative for American wrestling is that it would really lessen the value of making the team. It becomes a completely different thing. Now it's just finish top 3. You don't have the fanfare and the interest because really American fans have more interest in that trials aspect more so than more than you'd realize than the World Championships.
It might increase the value of the trials as a media property in the sense that now you built up this David Taylor storyline. He didn't make the team, so long storyline gone.
Yep.
And now, okay, can David Taylor redeem himself at the Olympics? Jordan Burroughs, hey, he's going to try to make the team again. Oh, he lost. Now he's out. Into this scenario,
True.
Now maybe Burroughs redeems himself. So the star building is not so wasted. And I think, to me, that's maybe one of the reasons that the Olympic trials, they're like, yeah, let's just do this in 2 days and get it over with, instead of if it was, if we're building up
Something cool.
18 stars per style, maybe we spend a little more time on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fun to think about. Time to go. Appreciate everyone tuning in to episode 1040. Oh, special note, we're doing the show Wednesday in honor of our nation's birthday, July 4th. We're not going to do the show in honor of America. We're going to do it on Wednesday. Because you guys aren't going to listen on July 4th. We know. It's like I think July 4th is like the worst day for traffic every year on Flow Wrestling. It's just the deadest day.
On Flow Wrestling?
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. FlowWrestling.com.
Oh, I thought you meant I thought you were talking about driving traffic at first.
No.
Okay.
For real media industry insider here. Doesn't know what traffic is.
If July 4th might be one of the worst days for traffic as well.
Okay. Yeah. Good for that traffic.
Listen, I'm from Southern California. My mind immediately, it's where it goes.
Yeah.
Think about the 5 freeway, the 405. You know nothing about these things.
Thankfully. I just drive in. See you guys. See you Wednesday. Bye.